Hey there, Vermont. This is another video. This is part 2 of a series trying to help Vermonters out there find out how to track their legislator, the legislation bills, the agenda, because there's a lot of people that are really upset as to how these representatives can consistently ignore the outcry of the registered voters out there that oppose outside influence from other states' legislative bodies, let's say. So let's face it. You go to that website, www.vermont.gov. I showed you where you can kind of go through that little, underneath Phil Scott's picture, there's the links for all your elected officials, the legislative bodies, the judiciary bodies as well. All that information is right there. This little video is going to be, let me see, we were going to get, someone had asked a really good question on, and here, this is, I'm going to flip the screen here. So, this is the 2019 to 2020 session. House bills for regular session 2019-2020. All right. So, and there's the website address, okay? And you can go onto the website and there's all of the House bills that are being read, expected to be read, proposed. It's a long, long list all the way through. And see down here, then you can go to good old page number 2. Just give it a sec. And there's all there's H51 all the way down through to H100 or 100. Listen, I might have a little fun creating these videos, so if there's individuals that get upset when I have a little fun with it. And then you go to number 3, and that will bring you to the list of bills from 101 all the way down, all the titles, the date they're introduced. Okay, and it goes all the way down to 150, and then you can go over to click number 4. And that brings you right to, whoops, maybe that's the end. Let's see, 196. Did I fully click that? Oh, hold on a second. Okay. Well, anyway, that must be the list of just the H bills, or the Vermont House bills that are proposed for the 2019-2020 session. Now, you can, right along that, here, I'll show you real quick. Right along this whole left side of the website, okay, you've got the bill, act, and resolution search, released for introduction. There's the House. Then you can click the Senate. And here is the Senate's 2019-2020 session of all of the bills. Elections, governor, 4-year term of office. There's the S1. Just like I was showing you with the House bills, this is the Vermont Senate bills, annotated with the S. Okay. And then you down to S46. You click number 2, and that'll bring you right over to the S47. The titles, each one of those bills. being read for this legislative session going forward. And you can also, when you all bills for both chambers, kind of breaks it right down. All bills introduced during the 2019-2020 session. You can scroll right down through. And there's a bunch of, of course it gives you a much longer selection. Boom, boom. And then over here, like bills passed, you can collect here, click there and select this, and it'll go, then you can review the bills that have passed by the House, by the Senate, passed by both the House and the Senate, which looks like we're not getting, so far there's 6. Then you got anything that Phil Scott has vetoed, which is he has yet to use his veto power. Maybe he's a little afraid of Mitzi Johnson and her big old statement about vetoes. But then you can go to the bills in out of committee. Okay, and this is where you can go by the House committees. And for example, let's see, where is Ways and Means? I wanted to kind of ethics. Well, that's interesting. I wonder if they even have an ethics committee in the state of Vermont. It's pretty sad if they. Oh, no meetings are currently scheduled. Oh. That doesn't surprise me. Okay, that might be a little fun. But anyway, there's not... And this is chaired by... The Senate Committee on Ethics is chaired by Joe Benning, Brian Campion, and Anthony Polina. So, I don't know. Let's see, let's go... Oh, where did I wanted to go back. Okay, so there's the list of committees for the 2020 session. You've got, agriculture, forestry, appropriations, commerce and economic development, corrections and institutions, education, energy and technology, general housing and military affairs, government operations, healthcare, House ethics panel, House Sexual Harassment Prevention Panel, Human Services. There's the Judiciary, which let's just take a little peek. And this is the Judiciary Committee, okay? Pretty good sized list. And then this is where you can actually check in on click a bill, see what happens here. There's the H57 bill, an act relating to preserving the right to abortion. And these are the other bills that are presently in committee. And then, of course, you can go to the other documents. This is where you can kind of keep track of what's going on. There's the phone number for the assistant. All you got to do is click these representatives, and you can get the information in order to contact them, and either that or write them. Had a phone call from a lady last night that was voicing a little bit of frustration on how she could get involved and stay involved with specific bills that are important and impact her family's lives. So we have, I guess I'll do a couple little videos. It should be able to at least helping anybody that's at home. If, say, you're retired, you want to stay engaged, you want to check in on what, is going through the Vermont legislature, because let's face it, they don't, sometimes they rarely get back to you. I'm sure with the recent H57 S25 bill and the rapid fast track that things are happening, because it's Roe versus Wade, 46 years. We've got a dead, dying state. There's no jobs. They say that this Vermont's economy is doing great. Well, yeah, but there's, if you're talking first-time, part-time positions, either in a gas station or at a grocery store, and listen, I'm not putting down those jobs. I'm just saying Vermont's economy, this so-called unemployment, low unemployment rate, you wonder why people are leaving the state of Vermont. It's really not that hard. The kind of tactics that I'm seeing here with the legislative representatives claim, they're keeping this stuff transparent. They want voters to be engaged. They want them to be able to send in the questions, to actually attend, their public hearings. You get a public hearing where the opposing side, after 46 plus years in the advances in technology, yeah, it's probably time that we need to change some things here in the state of Vermont, because Vermont is stuck still back in the 60s apparently. Everybody wants to relive the hate and divide between color of skin and, religious stuff. This is starting to get, one, it's old. Two, Vermont is old. It's dying. It's decaying. And one of the main reasons is the fact that the Vermont State Tax Code is rigged for failure rather than success. Let's face it. You got to maintain those grants. You got to keep a certain number of people in those categories of poverty just so you can keep those grants. And, that does remind me of, the Soviet Union. Big promises never delivering. Long lines. People being left behind. Come on. This is, I'm going to flip this to it if you want. Like I said, there's some, then you can go to the Vermont laws. And here's, how that pulls down. There's the House. The overview. Find your representatives. The Speaker of the House. The current House calendar, etc. Then you go to the Senate. There's your Senate overview, your senators. All the definitions, how, what committees they're assigned to, the Senate rules, etc. Then you have the Joint Fiscal Office, which takes you off into a different website. And here's that breakdown. Okay, you got, and then you can, let's see. Then there's reports and research. There's their breakdown. Research, PRA exemptions and orders, history, the State House. Civic education is something Vermont seriously needs to put back into the public school system, as well as, hey, here's a key word, history. Because let's face it, Vermont is seriously hurting when it comes to history. It seems no matter what you do, you're never going to please or appease certain individuals that feel, well, your state's awfully white. Yeah, it is. It's awfully cold up here, too. And there's a lot of people that after a while get sick and tired of the cold and they want to move to a warmer climate. And I certainly cannot blame anybody Because I tell you what, I'm getting a little sick and tired of Vermont, and it's definitely, especially when you're constantly being ignored, and they are just, some of this legislation is, you can't legislate Vermont like New York. New York is a massive populated state. Same with California. California emission standards are not going to work well in Vermont, especially after the decade of 1.1% Vermont GDP. Plus, you got to, and listen, I understand how cheap Vermont companies are. In order to stay in business, you've got to, run with what works. Okay, and I understand that. But after a while, this stuff starts getting way too old, way too decrepit, and starts breaking down all the time. And that's not a productive business model. And especially when you're not even, as much as you complain that there's, you say that there's not talent out there, that's another complete falsehood. Start offering the talented individuals that have got the work experience as well as have earned many awards. Or are you just so afraid of hiring someone who could actually help your company grow to that next level? I mean, man, you want to talk about fear of, and I realize there's a lot of family businesses that are owned by family business, and they only hire and they only promote their family members, but, I mean, come on. 96% of Vermont is small business owners, and after doing the kind of research I've done, there's some easy solutions out there. There's just a lot of really hard-headed, pig-headed individuals that are so ready to push this Green New Deal, they really could they don't care about anybody else. It's all about them pushing their idea and that agenda. And when you offer, not even, it's, okay, maybe it could come across as slight criticism. I mean, some of it is completely pie in the sky, especially for Vermont. And you've got, you don't have the infrastructure, let alone the companies, let alone you've been dragging your feet for so long and letting this stuff just decay. It's a gold mine out there just to recycle that stuff, so let's start cleaning it up. Either get somebody to consolidate some of these outdated technologies, these outdated business models. You either sell them, merge with someone, whatever it takes, for them to, I don't know, they can stay alive or stay in business. But start cutting the tax code, because I'm telling you what, that rigged tax code is one of the main reasons people get tired of this place. And start becoming a little more business friendly. Because I'm telling you right now, with these proposals, this Green New Deal, it's unsustainable. The tax thing is way too aggressive. You better start allowing businesses to start going long form in their deductions, because otherwise, listen, Vermont is dying as it is already. You've got enough counties and enough small communities out there decaying. They can't stay afloat. You don't have access to funding. I mean, and then on top of that, you go around getting everybody excited about starting up a new business model, and yet you can't even get in touch with anybody face to face to discuss or make this proposal for a new business model. You're talking about a bunch of, whatever. There's individuals that are supposed to be helping these veterans get access to and get the names to these individuals within the banking community so that you can present, but they never return your calls. And my God, is that getting, seriously frustrating. I don't want my business up in Chittenden County. It is congested. It is a mess up there as it is. It's got this bureaucratic process. It's been pitched by socialist Bernie Sanders for decades. I mean, listen, Chittenden County is not the cat's meow. There's a lot of communities throughout the state of Vermont that really offer a lot. And especially if you want to raise, a young family in some good school systems. I mean, listen, socialism brings nothing but despair and poverty. I've seen it across the planet. Long waiting lines. Oh, as long as you're aligned with the the politique, the Soviet bloc, the right connections in the family. Oh yeah, you might get some privileges, but I'll tell you what, that model collapsed for a reason. And Russia is now under Vladimir Putin. It's a complete little different 21st century pitch, but it hasn't changed that much. And I don't know. Start piecing things together, get more people involved. We got some great talented individuals out there. This is a beautiful little state, and I'm just getting sick and tired of just hearing one drum beating all the time. It gets boring. There's no innovative, juices flowing. It's mostly the dead, dying, decaying past of the 20th century trying to be, I don't know, carried forward into the 21st century. It's like we haven't learned enough as it is, or it's just a bunch of far left, maybe we probably have to start downsizing some of these colleges. I mean, some of these professors are certainly not, if they're not proud to be American, let's ship them over to Russia. Let them earn a paycheck in the Soviet Union. Or better yet, let them learn Chinese. I mean, I'd love to hear some of these issues in China. I mean, it's not like they didn't learn enough in Tiananmen Square in '89. And then, of course, we've got good old Kim Jong-un playing his little game up in North Korea. So listen, let's get involved, get engaged. There's 30 years of innovations that we can really improve several technologies. This Green New Deal just being pitched by the far left in the Democrat/Progressive Party. I mean, I'm not going to pick on one progressive that I played pool with in Montpelier, but I certainly understand why he's not going to vote against H57 or S25. He's young. If he gets the wrong female pregnant, he wants that out. He wants that option. But right now it's a rigged system here in Vermont. Rigged for failure, as a matter of fact. And you can save it. You got to get involved, though. The voters have to really start. It's we the people, by the people, for the people. It's not that hard, but I realize it is hard when it comes to trying to make a living in the state of Vermont, because that just feels like it's impossible. You are rigged for failure. Only certain types get to make it because they've had it passed down to them generation after generation. Okay, they've had family members that started the business model back when it was low taxes in the 50s, low whatever in the 60s. And let's face it, they sure do not promote outsiders within their company very much. And I have yet to see too many of them running a successful business model within that upper tier of business models. They seem to just hover and stay at a certain level. And once they're done with the business, they close it, or it goes into a new chapter of whatever, being either bought up or it's shut down and left to decay, rather than something coming in to rejuvenate. I mean, there's a bunch of buildings out there with some, gutting, cleaning them out. You could solve all of Vermont's housing problem, especially for the homeless. But anyway, have a great day there. That's the lesson on this one, so we'll talk to you in a little bit.